3 minutes after 10. The royal family has one job. Sorry, I was a bit profound. Good morning. Speaking of one job, am I the only one thinking about Rachel Reeves' husband from the perspective of being a slightly feckless husband? By feckless, I mean not very good at the detail. He's a senior civil servant, but I know exactly what he's been through over the course of the last 24 hours. Okay, darling, you're definitely across this, right? You're handling all the rental stuff. Yes, look, I'm 53 years old. Oh, I don't know how old he is, actually, but quite close to home. I'm 53-year-old. Stop treating me like a child. I can handle a flipping house rental, for goodness sake. Then he got a phone call, presumably on Monday night or Sunday night. I said, darling, did you actually sort out all of the house rentals? And he has spent 24 hours desperately searching through his email history because he was certain that he had done, but he couldn't find the proof. And it turned out that the bloke who said they were going to apply for the licence left the letting agency the next day. I don't see any topic here. Sorry, Daily Mail. I know you think it's more important than an actual prince of the realm losing his title, because that is what you've chosen to splash with this morning. Your kind of rapidly deflating balloon of manufactured fury regarding the Chancellor's housing arrangements. But at this point, I can't see any phone-in that would add to what we did yesterday when we described what we thought had happened and what turned out, which doesn't always wash out this way, it turned out had happened. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. If you've got a good way back into that story, then I'll give you the money myself. 5 minutes after 10 is the time. So Andrew stripped of Prince title. We will be joined by the hero of the hour, if that is the correct turn of phrase, in about 11:45, I think, today. We'll talk to Emily Maitlis, who, of course, set the ball rolling on the story of our age, the royal story of our age. I've also got a little bit of a tease for you with regard to who will be the... See, I had a conversation with the producer earlier. I thought I'd already told you who the special guest was going to be for Full Disclosure Live next year, raising money for Global's Make Some Noise. It's quite exciting. It's what you might call a crossing of the streams for certain sections of our society. And don't let me go home without remembering to tell you who that is and to tell you how you can get hold of tickets. Will we be telling people how to get hold of tickets? Yes, and telling you how to get hold of tickets as well. But how do you want to do this, do you think? I mean, it is very rare that every newspaper is united in complete agreement about what the biggest story in town is. And it's so rare, in fact, that it's not even true today. It's almost every newspaper. The Andrew, formerly known as Prince, yeah, well done, the Sun, we beat you to that as well. King removes style, titles and honours from brother. Andrew stripped of Prince title in historic move to save monarchy. I like that line. Historic move to save monarchy. Finally, says the Daily Mirror, King begins the process to strip Andrew of Prince title. He's ordered to leave Royal Lodge and Fergie's out too. Wills backs Charles's move amid yet more Epstein fallout. Royals say thoughts are with victims of all abuse. An important addendum to the central announcement yesterday, I thought. The royal formerly known as Prince, says the Daily Star. Andrew no longer Prince, says the Daily Telegraph. Andrew to be stripped of his royal titles and must move out of home, says the Guardian. Andrew stripped of his Prince title and home, says the Times. Humiliation for Reeves as she changes her story, says the Daily Mail. Sometimes I wonder whether I'm exaggerating about how bonkers everybody in that building has gone. But no, I'm not. I mean, it is on the front page as the kind of turn to page 2. But deciding that the biggest story in town is their rapidly deflating balloon of manufactured fury about Rachel Reeves is, even by the standards of the Daily Mail, a moment of well, I mean, they've put the word humiliation in red, which seems to be a fairly reliable example of what I believe is called projection. Humiliation for the Daily Mail. As it turns out, Rachel Reeves had done nothing wrong, but that won't stop them from printing page after page after page of desperate attempts to portray her as some sort of wrong-un while paying Boris Johnson, who, of course, had 2 independent ethics advisors resign in disgust at his contempt for ethics, hundreds of thousands of pounds a year to write a newspaper column. I think that's the line I like most. What are you thinking the big story? What's the big element? What's the most important aspect of this? Or shall I ask you that question on air? Do you want to ring up and tell me the answer? What's the most important aspect of this story for you? Sadly, public discourse, the establishment, call it what you will, the national narrative, does not prioritise victims. If it did, then at the moment that 12 million quid was handed over to a young woman who accused the Queen's son of having had sex with her in return for money she received from Jeffrey Epstein, then this decision would have been taken at that moment. It's perfectly possible, because of course he denies all allegations, it's perfectly possible that he gave 12 million quid to her for no reason whatsoever, apart from entirely unfounded allegations. But it seems, I think we could all agree, unlikely in the great scheme of things. Who here has given a significant sum of money to somebody to stop them making entirely false and unfounded allegations? Hands up. That's all. I'm just saying, he denies it all, but he hasn't really explained why he's given her 12 million quid of his late mother's money. So what do you think the most important element of this story is? 0345 6060 973. That's your sort of bubbling under question. That's not the central thrust. How much trouble... Here's a double header for you. Right, pause, rewind, think. How much trouble is the monarchy in? My answer to that is not a lot. I think, whether you're going to file it under better late than never, or whether you're going to file it under doff cap tug forelock, he's the king. Therefore, can we all please move along and stop asking why action wasn't taken much sooner? I mean, even as recently as a fortnight ago, he made what he hoped would be the final move in this saga, and it turned out to be not enough, too little and too late. How significant is this for the monarchy? My answer is not very, but I want to know what your answer is. How significant should it be? Am I alone this morning in thinking that this, not unlike the aftermath of the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, is one of those moments when you realise that the entire edifice is vulnerable? It's so bizarre to grow up with something utterly baked into the national consciousness that is entirely and demonstrably optional. I'm not a particularly Republican individual. I think, and I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, I think my attitude to the royal family is going to be defined by its inhabitants rather than by any reverence for an institution or tradition. I think I won't feel any particularly Republican stirrings in my guts if the people in the big jobs are behaving with what appears to be decorum and or decency. I don't know that you can say you were fond of the late Queen, although of course a lot of people do, but I thought she was brilliant at what she did. Which of course leaves me open to the question of what did she do, James? And I don't know the answer to that question either. She provided focus, leadership of sorts, a sort of fulcrum for feelings, whether they're patriotic feelings or national pride or something else, pageantry, tradition. What did she do? I mean, that's odd, isn't it? She did her job very well. She was brilliant at her job. What was her job? I think King Charles is playing a blinder as well. I thought that he gave the world a lesson in how to deal with the narcissistic man-child Donald Trump. Other countries now have gone further. South Korea gave him a crown, an actual crown. Apparently, Air Force One is flying back from Asia with the hold absolutely groaning under the weight of, well, if we were watching Flash Gordon, they'd be called space diamonds. King Charles, without actually handing over much by way of loot or booty, showed the world how to handle the narcissistic man-child that is Donald Trump. Just treats him like a cross between the Pope and Henry VIII, and he'll go home happy regardless of anything else that's going on anywhere in the world. So, what is today actually about? It's a reminder that all of it is a man-made edifice. The medieval arguments about a divine right of kings or monarchs being appointed by God, I don't think anybody really subscribes to that anymore, and if they do, they are respectfully too bonkers to pay any attention to. So that ship sailed a long, long, long time ago. And what this reminds us of is the very simple fact that it's all entirely confected. The whole shebang. The idea that someone can live in a 30-mansion house for free simply by dint of the fact that a long-distant foreign ancestor slid into an empty seat called a throne at some fortuitous point in history, and his successors and children, grandchildren, grandchildren are dedicated to one thing and one thing only. Because the royal family only have one job, and that is to survive. That's it. The only job the royal family has is to protect the ludicrous system at which they sit at the very top. It's bonkers. And listen, I'm saying it again, not to insulate myself from any particular criticism, but because I mean it. I don't have particularly Republican stirrings in my soul. But on mornings like this, oddly, I go a little bit big picture. I don't really care about Andrew Windsor. I don't certainly intend to lose any sleep about the privations he will hopefully suffer. I don't particularly care about his ex-wife either. I've got a modicum of sympathy. Actually, I've got quite a lot of sympathy for his children. But I don't know them. Maybe they don't deserve any. I go big picture because the more you look at it, the madder the whole business looks. It's extraordinary. So I think what I'm going to ask you today is this. What's the royal family for? 0345 6060 973. I know what they do. They dedicate themselves to surviving long enough to pass all the privilege and pomp on to the next generation. That's the key job. And, of course, you might say, no, they provide this and that and the other, but they provide this and that and the other in order to safeguard the handing on of all the pomp and privilege, all the plunder and riches to the next generation. That is what their job is. They don't have any other job. If they thought that they would enhance the likelihood of passing everything on to the next generation by behaving like Genghis Khan, they'd be behaving like Genghis Khan. Their job is simply to survive. It's what they do. So from our point of view, what is the royal family for? 0345 6060 973. And how does the disgrace, the unprecedented, that's an overused word, but today it really fits, the unprecedented disgrace of Andrew Windsor affect the whole shebang? What impact does this have? Because I don't think it's going to have much impact at all, but I think I'd quite like to be wrong. So what do you think? I mean, you can do it one of two ways. It can be your very personal answer to the question, or you can do what I've done this morning and go a bit big picture. What is the royal family for? And don't think for a minute that you have to be positive in your analysis. You could explain, and I think Prince Harry has demonstrated this better than almost anybody ever. You could explain that the royal family is there to keep us all in our place. The royal family is there to remind us that there are some stations to which you can never aspire. However brilliant you are, however beautiful you are, however talented you are, however kind, however compassionate, however caring you may be, there are some levels of society in this country that you will never reach. It doesn't matter whether you are a walking paragon of virtue, you will never be, until today, the, quotes, equal, end quotes, of Andrew Windsor, the paedophile's friend. So what's it for? What's the royal family for? And what does the disgrace of Andrew Windsor do to the firm, as they like to call themselves, reportedly? 18 minutes after 10 is the time. 0345 6060 973 is the number you need. I don't like royal phone-ins, generally, but I'm going to like this one. I'm enjoying already talking about this because, well, it's that dread word again. It's unprecedented. But what's it for? What's the family for? And how does this scandal, this disgrace, affect that mission statement? How much damage has this done to whatever it is they exist to do?